To be honest with you, I always like watching Matt Diavella's videos. I don't know. No, since the initial, like the whole minimalism stuff, it's kind of weird. Like, cause I'm curious as to what he's gonna talk about. Like, I swiped lives with a night owl for a week. Cause I feel like if I didn't have a job, I'd be like a literal night owl. Like the perfect day is like waking up at 10 a.m., going to bed at like 4 a.m. You know what I mean? It's like that's when more fun things are happening. Like those early hours of the day where people are most productive, like nothing is actually really happening. Like life isn't life and like that. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Let's see what he's got to say.
Hi, my name is Matt, and I'm an early bird, and that's Sarah, and she's a night owl. And for the next week, we're going to swap schedules. After spending most of our lives without changing our routines, we want to see if there's anything we can learn from each other's approach. Are we more productive waking up before sunrise?
I'm exhausted.
I'm just gonna say this when it comes to productivity for me it makes no difference. If I'm in it, whether it's like I just woke up, I'm in it. Sometimes if I'm not in it, I could be up when it's super quiet or like the sun is just rising. There's like productivity in the air, and if I don't want to do it, just not gonna do shit. So makes no difference to me. But let's hear what the experts got to say.
Are we more creative working late into the night?
I've got a lot less distractions right now.
Is there something that we can all learn about how to best schedule our days to increase the chances that we'll become happy and successful? Let's find out. This video is sponsored by Squarespace. More on them later.
I'm up before 8.
Congratulations, babe. It's actually is wild seeing you here.
Yeah, should we go stare at the sun? Because that's what Andrew Huberman says.
Good morning.
So, I am familiar a bit with angiohemoglobin, but I don't know exactly why you stay into the sun. Maybe it has to do with vitamin D or whatever, but I feel like it's also like psychologically, like that's how you feel you've actually woken up. Kind of like right now, it's very gloomy outside because it's raining. Fucking Minneapolis. But the thing about it is, is like, I don't know, just seeing the sun, like even if you're not gonna go outside in the sun, knowing that it's there kind of gives you that comfort. It's kind of weird. It's like, oh, it is today, and like imagine the word today, and in your mind you actually picture sun rays as like today. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but all right, let's see how the night owl is gonna be doing.
Oh, no, no. What did I say?
You said you didn't
I
want to
said
be on
no
camera.
cameras in the morning.
Nah, it's not even the morning. It's like 9:30.
Sarah and I couldn't be more different when it comes to our routines. She's fast and loose, I'm structured and methodic.
Everything is unstructured. Waking up late, rolling out of bed. This past week was pretty bad. I was probably editing until 4 or 5 a.m. for a few nights in a row. That was pretty bad.
Despite our differences, we've both found some success as online creators. But we've also faced challenges that have brought us to the point of swapping routines. Sarah is searching for better work-life balance to help minimize the extreme shifts in her schedule. And for me,
I think just going with the flow is just a very difficult thing for me to do. Sometimes I feel like if I get started at work at 12 p.m., what's the point? Like, why even work at that point? And I think especially as I go into this.
You see, I know to each his own, but in my opinion, I wish I had a better focused mind because I'm the most chaotic brained individual to such an extent that I feel like I'm just inherently better at a lot of things because I'm very good at tiny things all the time. If that makes sense. It's like that's why I thrive in a career like the one I'm in right now because literally chaos is my job description, putting out fires and stuff like that. And I wish I was, I don't know. I know people will be like, oh yeah, you gotta develop the discipline for this. And I'm like, yeah, but then it goes against the grain. It's kind of like, how do I, how do I tap into that when I need to do things like deep work? Shout out to Carl Newport, but also still have that ability to like let my mind chaotically go, just go, like uninhibited, just go, just go. But I don't know. It's kind of interesting because I think I can. I think the best thing that we can do is kind of like at least have dedicated moments whereby we try to be methodical and then let the rest of the chaos make life interesting, and maybe that's where ideas come from, you know? And it makes life less boring that way. Because the one thing I realized, whenever you do the same thing every day, every single time, whether it's a good thing like you're being productive or like it's just a bad thing like sitting around watching TV or whatever, it's like days feel shorter and like time flies quicker because it's kind of like I think the way we perceive time isn't necessarily time in terms of like seconds, minutes, hours, and days. It's more like activities. So if there's only one activity happening throughout, then it's just like activity, and then something else, and then activity. But well, maybe maybe that's maybe you can leverage like your sleeping schedules, because like if I realize I don't know, but then it means I'd have to wake up really, really early. But because like once I'm awake and I once I've interacted with the world, recentering is almost impossible. But alright, I'll stop pausing the video.
This phase of having a child, I think my schedule is going to be even less predictive, and so this might allow me to build some resiliency, which could be nice.
When you look at the conversation online around optimizing your schedule, it's hard not to think that there's a right way to do it. There are thousands of videos, books, and articles with people sharing their morning rituals and routines. Hey, that guy looks familiar. Tim Cook wakes up at 4:30 a.m. and so does Jocko Willink.
You want to be more disciplined? Get after it.
Bill Gates gets up at 5 a.m. along with Richard Branson. In productivity culture, we put the morning routine on a pedestal. People share their exact recipe for doing it right. Wake up at 5 a.m., drink a glass of water with a splash of lemon juice, meditate for 30 minutes facing the sun, ideally shirtless, and crush a 60-minute HIIT workout, also shirtless, all before 7 a.m.
Whether or not people do these routines in the real world is still up for debate. What is clear, though, is that our obsession with waking up early has a tight grip on the
Oh, seriously, dog? Alright, I'm sorry. Yeah, I try to use headphones so that I don't make too much noise. But then, obviously, Apple thinks that the Beats Fit Pro have a better microphone than my dedicated microphone. So they chose that instead. So I always have to like, forgot to. I bet now you hear me better. Alright.
Articles with people sharing their morning rituals and routines. Hey, that guy looks familiar. Tim Cook wakes up at 4:30 a.m. and so does Jocko Willink.
You want to be more disciplined? Get after it.
Bill Gates gets up at 5 a.m. along with Richard Branson. In productivity culture, we put the morning routine.
See, I know we live in a world whereby obviously it's good that we are very critical of ideas. We don't just follow something because it sounds like it's gonna be epic. And I feel like the waking up early phenomenon works for people earlier in the beginning. I feel like anyone, despite you being a night owl or whatever, like if you do that often enough, obviously still get your full 8 hours or like whatever sleep you actually need to actually be productive to begin with. But I feel like forcing yourself to like do that, it's kind of like similar to like people who go to the gym first thing in the morning saying like it becomes the hardest thing that you can ever do. So everything else in your day is quite easy. Like if I really bitching my body up and like challenge myself mentally to an extent that I'm like I really had to get after it. Like whatever happens throughout the day, no matter how difficult it is, I'm better equipped to handle it as opposed to if that was the worst thing to ever happen. So I totally get that, and I feel like though you gotta evolve and graduate to a point whereby first you need the independence, like they're YouTube creators so they can do this whenever they want and stuff like that. But if you are like in a rigid 9 to 5 or whatever, then who knows, maybe a 2 to 12 schedule works for you and you wake up at 9 a.m. You still get the first hours to yourself to do whatever, but then you do it when it's sunny and you can go to a coffee shop before you go to work. All those things, like you start kind of like challenging yourself a bit more, and like making it work for you. But I feel like you do need to like pay the price, put the works in, get after it, like Joker says. But then you also need to be able to like start optimizing, because I feel like in the beginning you just want to grind your teeth, grind your teeth, and then eventually you're like, oh, okay, this is what I want to do. So, all right, let's
routine on a pedestal. People share their exact recipe for doing it right. Wake up at 5 a.m., drink a glass of water with a splash of lemon juice, meditate for 30 minutes facing the sun, ideally shirtless, and crush a 60-minute HIIT workout, also shirtless, all before 7 a.m. Whether or not people do these routines...
Yeah, I think when it comes to morning routines, in my opinion, they are overrated. You do need to have one, but over optimizing your morning routine actually does nothing for you, apart from like, if that breaks, it can become an inconvenience. Think of it this way. I feel like two things, like writing in a journal and like going to the gym, that's all you need. Like the extra, like I gotta like make my coffee like this, I gotta have this in my water, I gotta do. Once you make those lists, obviously in your more motivated periods and like you're super motivated or whatever, then you can execute and feel great about yourself. But then the minute one of those is out of place, like you forgot to buy lemons and you can put lemon juice in your water, that can throw off most people. It is a non-issue to begin with, you know what I mean? But it can throw the day off for most people. So it's kind of like, have a morning routine, but don't make it too extravagant or over optimized. Make it realistic so that you can always be consistent in it and like improve within the few things you do in your morning routine. So as opposed to like journaling, coffee, do like two things really well and get better at them. And then you can actually even look back and you're better equipped to judge how better you've gotten in you doing your morning task, and also realize how far ahead or far along you are based on like your execution of those morning routines. Like if you see yourself getting stronger in the gym, you more whatever it is, it might be like
routines in the real world is still up for debate. What is clear, though, is that our obsession with waking up early has a tight grip on the productivity world. But is this a universal truth for everyone? Will we all be as happy and successful as Chris Hemsworth if we could just find the willpower to plow through our snooze button?
Okay, so I just got done working out and oh, Kitty, no!
Oh yeah, when it comes to snooze buttons, or like when you wake up, I have a bit of insomnia sometimes if I'm stressed out about something. But I feel like one thing I realized though, it's kind of like, just because I need to get full hours of sleep, if I'm up trying to stay in bed so that you can like stay longer, I think that's the worst thing you can do for yourself, because you're not really getting you're not really getting much out of sleep. And if you fall asleep, then you might end up breaking a sleep cycle when your alarm rings. So one thing I always do is like, whatever, I'm up super early and necessary, I'm like, damn, it's 2:30 a.m. Why am I up this early? You know what? Just get up, do your morning routine, and do whatever it is that you need to do. And by the time you get to work, maybe you're going to feel tired by 11, 12 because, yeah, you didn't sleep. If you feel that way, then just take a nap, just do something like that and then carry on for the rest of the day, and then your body will recover. But I feel like the minute you like kind of force yourself to stay in bed, it's kind of like this saying, like, if you can go to sleep, and it's actually more annoying forcing yourself to go back to sleep, and you can even, it's harder and all that stuff. So yeah, snooze button, don't do it. Not because you're like motivated, but it's like, it's not gonna help you. It's like, yeah, sleep more, but if your body isn't sleeping now, you know what, wake up, do something, exhaust yourself, and then take a nap. Even though I don't take naps, me and the money are way too attached to go into that.
Oh!
They want me gone, yeah. I'm wearing all white, too attached to go and do that. Money away to me and the money away too attached to go and do that. Muscle relax.
That's a nap. Sorry. That's my brain at work, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my god. Hey.
All right.
Whew, okay. Anyways, so I just got back from my workout, and I will say something that is good about waking up early is I actually have a chunk of time where I get things done. On a normal day, when I wake up at 10 a.m., yes, please don't judge me, I really don't get anything done. I kind of roll out of bed.
I wish I could be able to wake up at 10 a.m. It's the most realistic time to wake up. Like, imagine this. The perfect day you could have, productivity in mind and also enjoying life. Because I feel like, I don't know, for most of us, we just start to like grind and do whatever, but we never actually get to enjoy life. So like, we never really actually care about anything. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter what happens. We never really actually end up caring about anything, you know? I know I just got louder. I'm sorry. I'm still trying to tweak this. Until it works. So it's kind of like, if I could wake up at 10 a.m., that's the perfect day for him. Like, imagine you wake up at 10 a.m., hit the gym. When on the way back from the gym, you stop by a local coffee shop, have some breakfast, and then get home, and then start doing your work. You know, it's like, it's nicer, and you get to do more enjoyable things. Because the problem is, me having to wake up at 3 a.m. or like 4 a.m. or whatever. Yeah, it's motivational, whatever, but it's dark outside. No one is out there. Like, the streets are quiet. It's just, I mean, obviously you get to focus and hit the gym and do whatever, but it's like everything else is just so drab, and you're just like, what? You're not built for this. Obviously, you gotta like balance productivity and also enjoying life. Because I don't know, if you don't enjoy life, then what are you living for? Like, seriously. And I think a lot of people never get to question that. We're always worried about how not good enough we are, as opposed to recognizing sometimes, man, I don't know, just gotta do better, I guess. But all right, let's keep it going.
Figure out breakfast, have some coffee, scroll on Twitter, maybe answer a few emails, but I don't have a chunk of time to do creative work. When today, I actually got a good chunk of video editing done during the day. The sun was up. I'm gonna have one more chunk of creative work and hopefully not go to bed at 3 a.m. tonight.
Yep, that always happens. Whenever I'm trying to change the schedule, I mean, I experienced this the first time when I had to like move to a different time zone. And like, obviously the jet lag or whatever. But then you try to like, one idea you would, depending on where you move to, try to like wake up the same time you would have woken up if you were still in a different time zone. But then you're just in that other time zone. So like, time-wise, your body's still used to this. You don't actually break it. I don't know what I'm saying. But yeah, if you wake up too early, it's okay to take a nap. It feels like a power nap, but I don't take them, so, but you should. So.
I'm going to bed before midnight for the first time. I don't even remember the last time this happened. I think I'll be able to wake up at 7.
So I have bad sleep habits. So one of the bad sleep habits is that I always go to bed before 11. I always do. But then sometimes I just stay up all night. Not because I have something to do, I'm just up all night. Like, I'm not producing, I'm just up all night. And like, the day before wasn't like, oh, I didn't do anything, so I'm still, no, I actually done a lot that day. But I have this weird thing, like, you know, like when you do a bunch of stuff and you feel like, oh yeah, if you exercise, you do this, then you'll be tired and you fall asleep. And then for me, sometimes I'm just like, if I do fun stuff, I'm just hyped and I just want to, it's like your brain just doesn't want the day to end, you know, because it's just an enjoyable day, but then you end up just overstaying awake or whatever. I mean, sometimes I try to like booze up a little bit so that I can fall asleep, but it doesn't always work out that well, so, all right.
7 a.m. on day 2.
Hey, if you like this video, do me a favor and click subscribe. You won't regret it, I promise. You shouldn't make promises that you can't keep, Matt.
I already did like years ago. Been an avid follower, but I can like. Should I turn off the bell? No. Okay. I'm gonna make a case. The reason why I don't turn on the bell is because I'm logged in to a lot of different computers, iPads, phones, or whatever. And whenever I have the bell notifications on, I get bombarded depending on like what push notifications are being allowed on that device. So sometimes it ends up being annoying because I'm not even on YouTube, and then I get pop-ups. I'm like, oh no, I'm trying to focus on this, So it's not good. Kind of like how I don't have my notifications on Instagram. Like that's why like sometimes if people DM me, like I see that like 3 days later, I'm like, oh my bad. You know what I mean? But yeah. But what I do though is I do look at my subscribers. When you explore like the explore page, I go to like I look at my subscriptions before the homepage, because like the YouTube homepage sometimes is very, I don't know, it can put you in a rut depending on the kind of videos you've been watching. Obviously that's what it's supposed to do, that's its job, right? But yeah, okay.
I can't help but feel right now that I'm being incredibly unproductive starting work around 3 p.m. I mean, for the past 10 years, for me, it's been all about like waking up early, getting my most important things done first thing. Now I'm shifting my schedule, trying to figure out how to make this all work. At this point, it's 12:47 a.m. and I keep rereading the same emails over and over again, and I just can't process it, so I'm struggling.
We've learned a lot over the past decade about the science of sleep and daily routines, and it turns out that the time that each of us should be waking up should really be based around our genetics. Sleep research.
That's a good point, genetics, but also I feel like as opposed to basing our sleep schedule based on like the production or the things we have to do, we can also base it on the things that we like to do. So if you like going out early in the morning and having a croissant, or like going to a brunch, or you like going to, I don't know, morning or like afternoony type of things, then your sleep schedule should be probably a bit earlier so that you can get your work done and do all those fun stuff. But then if you're more of a night person, because let's remember, like, you still gotta enjoy life, because what are you living for? Like, because let's be honest, I know everyone is trying to do something epic with their life so that they live forever and get immortalized, but there's so many people doing things that are dope that no one is actually gonna care about you. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, do the best to be happy with your life, but also be happy in your life. You know what I mean? So like, if you like, yeah, based on genetics, but also based on what you like doing. Like if you like going out to dinners and like partying or whatever, then make sure your sleep schedule matches that, so that when you go out, you don't suffer the next day. You go out and then you wake up the next day the same times you would and be as productive, But like I said, this is a very privileged thing depending on like the kind of work that you're doing, or if you have the ability to pick different shifts, or like
Researcher Matthew Walker has emphasized that individuals have different biological preferences for sleep timing, which are known as chronotypes.
Are you a morning type, evening type, or somewhere in between? It's about a third split across the population. You don't get to decide. It's not your choice. This notion of these go-getter type A's who say everyone has to be awake at 5 in the morning. You go to the gym, you blast.
Yeah, I mean, it's always, I mean, obviously I'm not trying to argue with the science here, but also it's also like there is circumstances. As long as we don't get gung-ho about being like the grindy mindset worker type people, like we gotta kill it and we gotta whatever. Yeah, I mean, obviously you still gotta overcome certain things that you're predispositioned to, and I think like we talk about chronotypes and whatever, that makes sense. But then we gotta like think of like unique cases, like different time zones, different, like if you grew up working at this time, and like, yeah, if it's, then you can do things like light manipulation. If you want to be up at a certain time and your chronotype is this. So like even though the time is 4 a.m., but then you have so much bright lights and whatever in your room that it feels like you woke up at 8 a.m. You know, you can always do something to like kind of manage that as long as you get in the full 8 hours of sleep or whatever and being smart about it. But like I said, I don't want to hum on this point too much, but I feel like our sleep schedules too should also be based on the things that we want to do for fun, not just the things we have to do because we're like on that grind, boy. Oh my God. I don't like, sorry. I don't like myself here. Let me see if I can move myself this side. Okay. All right. Let's go.
Last out a workout for an hour and you're at the desk by 6 a.m. You have no choice. If you're an evening type, you're an evening type. It's hard-coded. We know that right now there's at least 22 different genes that dictate what you are, morning type, evening type, or somewhere in between.
Since the invention of electricity, and even more recently with our ability to work from home, it's harder to know what our chronotype actually is. Have we been swayed by the endless YouTube videos on morning routines? Or maybe we're working late into the night because we've been putting off that important.
Yeah, I mean, I know my chronotype. I mean, fortunately, because I grew up before the internet was big, where I grew up and like everything else. So it's like I've always known, like I'm an evening person. I do wake up early, super early right now and stuff, whatever. But I do that because it's like my 8 a.m. still feels like my 8 p.m. still feels like a 1 a.m. or whatever, because depending on what it is that I do. I think like I know we get caught up in just like, oh, morning hours this, but there's more to it than that. All right, let's keep going.
Important project. We might be fighting against our internal clock without even realizing it.
I find myself more and more susceptible to procrastination because there's always more time at the end of the day. I can always work until 2, 3 a.m. When in the past I would have these pretty hard cutoffs where I won't work past 5 or I won't work past 6.
Sarah said that her normal routine was also strongly influenced by procrastination.
So do you typically wait until like you're feeling inspired to begin working?
I wait until the crippling anxiety is just at the door. And it's like I have to get it done by tomorrow morning or else, you know?
The best way to figure out your own chronotype is to pay attention to your natural sleep-wake cycle. This is probably best done when you're not under pressure of a deadline and when you're not being forced to wake up with an alarm clock. While being a night owl might not be trendy to talk about online, you don't have to look far to find examples of people who've had success with it. Winston Churchill was notorious for working late into the night. Marissa Mayer, the former CEO of Yahoo, is known for being a night owl. And Barack Obama reportedly maintained a late night work schedule, keeping his mornings free for family and his fitness routine. The night owl life has clearly worked for world leaders and tech executives, but what about YouTubers? I mean, that's the real question.
So at this point, I would have been about 3 hours into my work, but since I'm a night owl now, I guess I'll just like chill.
Not really sure what to do. I got some advice from Sarah.
Because it takes me kind of so long to wake up, I'm kind of a sloth. I'll literally watch a full episode of Love is Blind at like 10 a.m. Like, I'll get my yogurt parfait and my coffee, and that's just like time for me and Judy, my cat. And I ease into the day. There is no hit the ground running.
Yeah, that's key too. Like, I mean, I think that's what it comes down to. Do you want to hit the ground running or ease into the day? Because sometimes when you hit the ground running, sometimes you're like, you start early and then you dip down. Sometimes you want to like build up momentum until you like actually enter like the super productivity, like be in the zone type of thing. So I think, again, it depends on the kind of person you are, what you work in, what you're trying to accomplish.
This is the most ridiculous show I've ever seen.
Now in the morning, instead of working, I'm gonna be reading more, going to the gym, making my smoothies, meal prepping, everything that I can do to make sure that I don't burn myself out and I'm not just making my entire day about work.
On the other side of the world, Sarah was also getting into a groove.
So So I'm on day 3 of this challenge. I woke up at 7 a.m. I got so much stuff done. Having that chunk of time, you know, in between 7 a.m. and noon before lunch, before I have to like put on makeup and go do things, has proven to be pretty useful. Okay, let's keep doing this.
I've been able to at least maintain the amount of work that I would typically do in a day, if not a little bit more. Natalie's been asleep for a little while, and so I've got a lot less distractions right now, so I can kind of...
Yeah, I mean, watch the rest of the video to find the conclusion to this. I'm gonna watch it in my own time, but I need lots of water right now. I'm sweating profusely, but okay.